All right, we're going to calculate interest discounts on a discounted loan. Now, I know what you're thinking. Discounts are good. We like discounts. Makes things cheaper. Here's the thing. When you're talking about a discounted loan, that is not a good thing. I mean, not necessarily bad, but just watch this video and make a decision for yourself here. So a discounted loan, it's a simple interest loan that's calculated. Okay, so you calculate the simple interest and you deduct the interest from the total amount received. Basically meaning if you go and you say, I would like to borrow $8,000, well, you're not going to receive $8,000. They're going to calculate how much interest you owe, subtract it from that, and that's the amount you will receive. So you're going to pay back $8,000, but you're not going to receive $8,000, right? So basically, instead of you paying interest along as you go, you pay it up front. And maybe it's not bad, but then there's really no incentive to pay it off early because you've already paid the interest. So it's just a different type of loan. So let's look at this. Now we're dealing with simple interest, which you may or may not have seen before. So we have the interest equals the principal, or the starting amount, times the annual percentage rate, and then we have the time in years. Okay, so that's how we find the interest. Well, to figure out how much you receive, we take the principal, which is the amount of the loan, subtract the interest, and L is the amount received. Okay, so if you are dealing with a discounted loan and you need $5,000, you have to borrow more than $5,000 because they're going to deduct the interest first. Okay, so it's kind of a weird thing to think about. Okay, let's one more piece here. Now with discounted loans, they advertise a particular percentage rate. So when they do that, the advertised percentage rate is what they're calculating to determine how much interest they're taking out. But if you think about it in terms of the effective interest rate is the interest rate you're actually paying. So the advertised interest rate would work if they were doing the typical way we think about it of calculate the interest and add it onto it, but that's not what they're doing. They're taking it away, which means we're actually working a little bit backwards. So the effective interest rate, which we show as R with a little e, right? We kind of work backwards when we say, okay, if we the loan amount, right? So the loan amount is what you receive, right, after they've taken out the interest. And then we multiply that by 1 plus the effective interest rate times the time in years, and that equals the amount to be repaid. So if you think, right, if your loan is $8,000, that's the amount to be repaid, but that's not the amount you get. All right, we're going to do an example because I think this will make more sense after we put it in like some context. Okay, so you need money to pay for car repairs, right? This is a legit thing. You go to a Get Cash Quick place. They offer you a $6,000 discounted loan with an annual rate of 7% over 3 years. So how much money will you receive from the loan? That's question number one. And then what is the effective interest rate for the loan? Okay. So first things first, how much are we going to receive? So remember, discounted loans are simple interest, I equals P RT. And to figure out how much you're going to receive, which is L, we will take the principal and subtract the interest. So our first step is going to be to find the interest. So my principal is $6,000, my interest rate is 7%, and my time is 3 years. So the interest is $6,000 times 0.07 times 3. So I'm going to pay $1,260 in interest, okay, on this 3-year loan. So how much am I receiving? Well, the amount to receive is the principal, which is $6,000 minus the interest we just calculated, which was $1,260. So I'm only going to receive $4,740. So this, again, what I mentioned earlier, if your car loans or your car repairs were more than $4,740, then you need to borrow more money. But if this is enough to cover your car repairs, then this is fine. Okay, so you're going to have to pay back $6,000, but you only received $4,740. Okay, so we found part one. How much money we receive? You receive $4,740. So what is the effective interest rate? So remember, the formula for the effective interest rate is P equals L times 1 plus the effective rate times T. So what do we know? Well, let's figure that out first. I know the principal is $6,000. The loan amount I received, $4,740. The time is 3 years, and R sub E is what I'm trying to find out. So let's plug in what we know. 6,000 equals 4,740 times 1 plus R sub E. This is like one thing because they're being multiplied together. So I'm going to put that as 3 R sub E, right? Because I don't know what the effective rate is. Now, there's a couple different ways mathematically you can do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to take this because it's touching the parentheses, and I'm going to distribute it to both pieces. So I've got 6,000 equals 4,740 times 1 is 4,740. And then I'm going to add 4,740 times 3 gives me 1,220, and I have my effective rate, RE. Okay, so I just distributed, right? That's what I did here. 1 to each spot. Now, to solve this equation, wrong button, please excuse me. To solve this equation, my next step, I need to get the variable by itself. So the first step is to get rid of this piece. So if I subtract 4,740 from both sides, I get 1,260. And you're like, huh, we've seen that number before. Yes, we have. That's the interest we paid, right? And then our last step is we're going to divide both sides by 14,220. Because to isolate the variable RE, we divide by what's in front. So my R sub E, my effective interest rate, comes out to be 0.0886. And I think it keeps going. And so to change this to, let's just refresh, 0.0886. If I want to change this to a percent, I would multiply by 100, which in effect moves the decimal 2 places. So 8.86, let's just round this and make it 8.9%. So remember, they advertised 7% interest rate, but because they take the interest out up front, you're really paying close to 9% interest on this loan. So when you're dealing with a discounted loan, this is why I said they're not that great. I mean, sometimes you have to because if you need the money, you got to have it. But because it's just a little bit, you're paying a higher interest rate than what they say up front, which can be a little tricky. So discounted loans, tricky.